They said oversight was dead. They said Democrats had no power left. But now, in a move no one saw coming, they're turning the spotlight on the very people who used to control the spotlight. Yeah, you heard that right. Democrats are preparing to investigate the investigators, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Because at the center of this showdown is one man, Kash Patel, Trump's hand-picked FBI director. The same Patel who now accuses his predecessor, Christopher Wray, of lying to Congress on January 6th. Think about that for a second. The current FBI director saying the last FBI director deceived the American people. If that's true, the system is rotten. If it's not, then Patel himself is weaponizing the Bureau in plain sight. Either way, the truth is explosive. And it's not just about Wray. The shadow of James Comey's indictment still hangs over this story. A former FBI director facing criminal charges for allegedly making false statements to Congress and obstructing justice. That's not just history, that's a precedent, and Democrats know it. So, here's the question. Can they force Patel to testify under oath? Can they rip open the sealed DOJ memos that recommended no charges in key cases? And if Patel claims executive privilege, will Democrats push him into a constitutional showdown? Let's rewind. In February 2025, Patel was confirmed after a bitter fight in the Senate. Critics warned he was too partisan, too tied to Trump's inner circle. Supporters said he was the man to clean house after years of what they called deep state corruption. From day one, Patel promised transparency. But by September, he was doing something very different, firing senior agents tied to Trump-era investigations and blasting Wray as a liar.
At a Senate Judiciary hearing on September 16th, Patel dropped his bomb. 274 plainclothes FBI agents were deployed at the Capitol on January 6th, not before the chaos, after. For crowd control, he said. Nothing sinister, but that figure directly contradicted Wray's sworn testimony. Wray had told Congress the FBI's presence that day was limited, controlled, defensive. Patel says that was a lie. And suddenly, Democrats had an opening. If Wray lied under oath, why didn't the DOJ act? If Patel is lying now, why is he still running the Bureau? Either way, someone's covering something up. Trump wasted no time. He called Patel's claims proof of the deep state cover-up, blasting Wray as a traitor and demanding more prosecutions. Conservative media lit up with headlines, "Wray lied, Patel confirms deep state plot." Meanwhile, Democrats sharpened their knives. Letters drafted, subpoenas prepared, questions ready for prime time. Here's the kicker. Democrats don't even need a majority to make Patel sweat. A single subpoena fight, a single leak from DOJ, a single whistleblower stepping forward, and the entire oversight battle explodes into a national crisis. The moment Patel's words hit the hearing room microphones, the temperature spiked. This wasn't cautious bureaucratic language. This was a sitting FBI director calling his predecessor a liar, out loud, on the record, cameras rolling, and Washington knew it. Within hours, Patel's testimony was everywhere. Headlines screamed, FBI Civil War, Patel versus Wray, who lied about January 6th. The media frenzy was instant because the implications were deadly serious. If Patel was right, Christopher Wray could face perjury charges. If Patel was wrong, Patel himself could face the same.
And the timing could not have been worse. With a government shutdown looming and Trump set to meet with congressional leaders, the entire drama suddenly collided with the budget fight. Democrats whispered about holding DOJ funding hostage. Republicans shot back that Democrats were protecting liars and traitors. Every committee hearing, every press conference became another battlefield. Then came the leaks. A memo from inside DOJ surfaced, suggesting prosecutors once reviewed whether Wray's testimony was misleading, but declined to pursue charges. Why? Because they believed context explained his statements. That phrase alone, context explained his statements, ignited outrage. To Patel's allies, it proved DOJ was covering up. To Democrats, it showed Patel was twisting half-truths into scandals. Meanwhile, whistleblowers began to circle. Anonymous DOJ staffers told reporters they were prepared to testify if Congress demanded it. That one sentence set fire to Washington, because if even one insider breaks ranks, Patel's story either collapses or detonates. Trump, of course, poured gasoline on the flames. In a rally in Pennsylvania, he thundered, "Wray lied, Comey lied, the whole crooked DOJ lied, but now we've got Patel, and he's not afraid to tell the truth." The crowd roared. Chants of "lock him up," aimed not at Trump, but at Wray, echoed through the arena. The political reversal was stunning. Back on Capitol Hill, Democrats debated their move: subpoena Patel, risk a constitutional showdown, demand the unredacted prosecutor memo, or wait for the whistleblowers to step forward first. Senate leaders like Dick Durbin pushed for aggressive oversight, warning that silence is complicity. House Democrats, outnumbered but not powerless, hinted they'd target DOJ budget lines until Patel complied.
And here's the part that made Washington's insiders choke on their coffee. Patel's allies floated the idea of executive privilege. Think about that. The FBI director, not the president, invoking privilege to avoid testifying? That would be unprecedented. It would also guarantee a court battle, one that could drag the Supreme Court straight into the mess. The drama escalated further when Patel fired several senior agents tied to investigations of Trump's allies. Officially, he called it restructuring. Unofficially, it looked like a purge. Reports suggested dozens of career officials were either reassigned or forced out. For Democrats, that was proof Patel was consolidating power. For Republicans, it was long overdue house cleaning. Either way, it deepened the sense of crisis inside the Bureau. Media outlets leaned in hard. Conservative hosts framed Patel as a hero standing against corruption. Liberal commentators painted him as Trump's enforcer, weaponizing the FBI to settle scores. Cable news roundtables turned into shouting matches. Is Patel saving the FBI or destroying it? But the most explosive question hung in the air like a live wire. What happens if Patel is subpoenaed and he refuses? Because if that moment comes, the clash won't just be political, it will be constitutional. The branch of government tasked with oversight will collide head-on with the branch tasked with law enforcement, and there will be no easy way out. And yet, even as the drama burned hotter, one detail slipped past the headlines. A line buried in Patel's testimony suggested he had reviewed classified operational reports before accusing Wray of lying, which means those reports exist, which means Congress could demand them, which means the next subpoena isn't for Patel himself, but for the paper trail he's sitting on. And here's the kicker. If those classified files ever see daylight, they could show either a massive DOJ cover-up or a political vendetta dressed up as oversight. Either way, the fallout would be nuclear.
The dominoes started falling the moment Patel's words hit the record. First, the public reaction. Poll after poll showed rising distrust in the FBI and DOJ, not just from Trump loyalists, but from independents, even moderates. CNN's instant poll found 61% of respondents concerned that the FBI may have misled Congress about January 6th. That's not fringe, that's mainstream. The very legitimacy of the Bureau was cracking in real time. Second, the partisan trenches deepened. House Republicans hailed Patel's testimony as courageous truth-telling. Senate Democrats slammed it as reckless and dangerous. But what shook insiders most was that even some moderate Democrats quietly admitted Patel's numbers, the 274 agents deployed, could be real. That didn't mean Wray lied. It meant the DOJ may have shaded the truth, and that subtle difference is exactly where oversight fights turn into scandals. The third shutdown threat. As Congress fought over the budget, Democrats floated attaching riders to force DOJ disclosures. Republicans countered with threats to cut FBI funding if Democrats politicized oversight. Think about that. Both parties threatening to defund law enforcement for opposite reasons. The very programs that protect Americans from cyber attacks and terror plots risked becoming bargaining chips in a power war.
Then came the Comey effect. With his indictment still fresh, reporters asked if Comey could face charges for misleading Congress. Why not Wray? Why not Patel? That question echoed in hallways, TV panels, even law schools. Precedent was backfiring, and Democrats were determined to test it. And finally, the leak that could blow it all open. Multiple outlets reported the existence of a prosecutor memo recommending no charges against Wray. The reason? Insufficient intent. In other words, DOJ believed Wray may have given inaccurate testimony, but not deliberately. That's the kind of technical legal reasoning that enrages the public. To voters, a lie is a lie. To lawyers, intent is everything. And that gap could destroy whatever trust is left.
Which brings us here, the knife's edge. But here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. If Patel refuses to testify, citing executive privilege, Congress may hold him in contempt. And that triggers a constitutional collision that could end with one of the most powerful men in Washington, the FBI director, facing criminal referral from lawmakers. Imagine that headline. Congress refers FBI director for prosecution? That's not oversight, that's war. Step back, look at the bigger picture. This fight isn't just about Patel or Wray or Comey. It's about the rules of power in America. History tells us oversight battles shape presidencies. In the 1970s, Nixon tried to bury the Watergate tapes behind executive privilege. Congress fought back. The Supreme Court ruled privilege isn't absolute. Nixon resigned weeks later. In the 1990s, Clinton faced impeachment over perjury. In the 2010s, Eric Holder was held in contempt of Congress for refusing to release documents on Fast and Furious. Each battle carved new precedents. Each changed how Washington works. Now, in 2025, Democrats are aiming oversight fire not at a president, but at the Justice Department itself. That's unprecedented. They're saying if the DOJ can weaponize investigations, then Congress can weaponize oversight. Revenge politics played with subpoenas instead of indictments. What does that mean long-term? It means the separation of powers, the delicate balance the founders designed is breaking down. If Congress sees law enforcement as political and DOJ sees Congress as hostile, then neither side trusts the other. And when trust dies, all that's left is raw force. Trump sees this as vindication. To him, Patel's testimony proves the deep state was real. Democrats see it as survival. If they don't challenge Patel, then oversight itself becomes meaningless. Both sides think they're defending democracy. Both may actually be burning it down.
So where does this go? Let's map the road ahead. Scenario A. Democrats score disclosure. They win subpoenas, force Patel to testify, drag the prosecutor memo into the light. The contents? Explosive. Evidence of favoritism, hidden communications, or outright deception. Democrats claim victory. Public outrage spikes. But Republicans spin it as partisan theater, and Trump rallies weaponize the chaos. Oversight becomes a campaign issue in 2026. Scenario B. Patel stonewalls. He refuses testimony, citing executive privilege. Democrats hold him in contempt. The courts get dragged in. Weeks turn into months. Meanwhile, DOJ operations stall. Investigations freeze. Morale collapses inside the Bureau. By the time a ruling comes, the damage is permanent. DOJ looks political, Congress looks vindictive, and the public loses faith in both. Scenario C, the whistleblower wildcard. One insider flips. They testify under oath, contradicting Patel, contradicting Wray, maybe even contradicting the DOJ memo. Suddenly, the case isn't about politics, it's about evidence. And whichever side the evidence cuts against, the fallout will be catastrophic. Scenario D, shutdown escalation. Budget deadlines loom. Oversight demands get stapled onto funding bills. DOJ faces cuts unless Patel cooperates. Republicans counter with cuts of their own. Suddenly, national security, counterterrorism, cyber defense, all are on the chopping block, and Americans feel it when blackouts, attacks, or crises slip through the cracks. Each scenario has one thing in common: risk. Risk of backfire, risk of collapse,
risk that the fight over oversight will shred the very system it's meant to protect.